Hello, everybody. Today is apparently it's Wednesday, May the 7th, very early in the morning. So it's between 1 and 2 in the morning, less than 2 hours after midnight. And I have some jokes here. So I think I'll just tell you the longer one first because I made it up. That's not really the reason. It just seems like it's better to do that. So I made it up all by myself. And I guess I'll call this joke the gorilla and cheese sandwich joke. I mean, I could call it a few different things, but we'll just do it that way. So, anyway, let's get down to the joke here. There's this young boy growing up. He was a toddler, and you know how babies, right? They eat baby food, right? So they can't, or they don't usually eat complicated adult food in this modern day and age. So he's eating his baby food, and then he gets older, and he still doesn't eat like a lot of really complicated foods, but he really likes cheese. And at some point, his dad, as he's growing up, his dad is cooking him grilled cheese sandwiches, and he finds that he really likes those and he can eat them. So he really enjoys them. That's a lot of fun. And his older siblings get the grilled ham and cheese sandwiches, but he doesn't really like those. I mean, he's seen them, he's looked at them, and he just feels like, oh, that's just too much, too complicated. It's adult food. I'm not ready for that. I can't eat it. Cannot eat it. But at some point in time, he can, and he likes it a lot. He really likes the grilled ham and cheese sandwiches too. In fact, he thinks they're great. So it just goes to show him, that you can kind of develop your capability to be increasingly able to eat, more complicated adult foods, right? So he's growing up, and he's 18 years old. He gets a job or whatever, and eventually he starts making a decent amount of money. He's making more money, and he thinks, wow, I have really grown up. I'm really somebody now. I'm a real macho man. And he thinks back to the example of how at first he could eat only a grilled cheese sandwich, but later he could eat a grilled ham and cheese. And this is like one of his favorite examples. And he thinks, wow, that was really a step up. I really got into being a real macho dude, when I could eat the grilled ham and cheese sandwich. And he's thinking, like, well, what can I do now to be even more just like a super, super great guy, And he thinks, well, what about, it just comes to him in a flash, a gorilla and cheese sandwich. So he's really thinking, yeah, I want to do this. And keep in mind, this is a joke, so I don't know if all of this is really actually possible, but it's a joke, right? So anyway, he at some point in time, he's really starting to plan this out seriously, and he decides he's going to go to Africa on a safari to hunt a gorilla, kill his own gorilla, clean it, cut the meat, and make himself a gorilla and cheese sandwich. So he arranges all the permits, and he's going to have a guide, and he gets this big rifle, and he practices at home before he goes over there, and he's all ready to go. So he gets it all going. He's flying over the Atlantic Ocean, and he's about halfway over the Atlantic Ocean, and he suddenly realizes, this whole thing is just kind of cowardly. I mean, it's too easy. It's not really fair for the gorillas. It's just not macho enough for me. So when he gets off the plane, he just gets on another plane. Instead of going hunting, he cancels everything, and he flies back to the United States, and he decides, I want to do something even more macho to really prove myself. So the next thing he does is he decides he's going to try to get a gorilla with a crossbow. So he gets himself a crossbow, and he's practicing. He wants to make sure he's a really good shot so he doesn't put himself and others in danger. And he decides that, he's really getting good at it, but then at some point he says, this really is just not quite macho enough for me. It's still too cowardly. It's too easy. It's not fair for the gorillas. So he decides that he's going to get a gorilla with a longbow. So he starts practicing that. That's even harder. So he's got this longbow, and he's practicing and practicing. He's getting really, really good. He's thinking, yeah, this is it. But before he's ready to go, he decides, you know what? Even this is just too easy. It's too cowardly. It's not fair to the gorillas. I need to do something even more macho, more daring, more manly, So finally he decides, I'm just going to go over there with a knife. I'm not even going to get a guide. I'll figure it all out myself. I'll get the permit, but I'll hunt a gorilla almost hand to hand, but I'll have a knife, and I'll just get my gorilla with the knife. And so he's really thinking this is really going to prove himself that he's a real man, you know? So at this point in time, he's got his knife and he's getting ready to go. And I don't know if you've ever heard of a movie called Planet of the Apes, and it was a series where the apes centuries later became super intelligent, and they were like people. They had technology and they were able to do things with machines and guns and stuff, and they took over the earth. So this is where this joke becomes more like science fiction. So the gorillas, I don't know if you've heard of ESP, also called extrasensory perception, which includes telepathy. But these gorillas over there in Africa, they know that they're super, super macho themselves. And I mean, there's nobody like a man who can compete with a gorilla. So they know they're more macho. But this guy is a real upstart, you know, and they can sense him all the way across the ocean, all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. They just somehow they develop ESP, telepathy, extrasensory perception, and they know he's coming. And all the way from across the ocean, they just can sense him because they're so macho, and this guy is a threat to their macho existence. And they just know this guy's really macho too, you know. So this one gorilla, like this really macho gorilla who's super smart, he senses this guy pretty well, and he starts to tremble. He's like trembling. He's going, I just feel this fear of this guy. He's going to come after one of us with a knife. And, you know, they learn to communicate with each other over this issue. It's somehow, you've heard the expression, necessity is the mother of invention. Well, this necessity to deal with this macho dude who's coming over to prove himself, that necessity creates like just new capabilities in these gorillas, and they begin to communicate and plan, and they have a plan and they're waiting for him. And so at one point, this big gorilla who's just like the real smart super macho gorilla, he's shaking. He knows this guy's coming, and he's just so afraid for a second or for a short time, but he finally just gets him even all the more ready and smart and ready to deal with this guy. So he communicates with the gorillas, and they've got a plan. So they're going to have a bait gorilla, which is the gorilla. They're just going to arrange this whole thing. They'll be able to sense him coming and know where he is. And they're going to have a bait gorilla, which is the gorilla that this guy's going to go after with his knife. And then they got other gorillas ready, and they're going to circle around, and they're going to ambush this guy from behind when he's ready, just about ready to attack the bait gorilla. So they even have a sign. They learn English. They can somehow just sense it out that they're just so super sensory and intelligent, and they have a big sign that the bait gorilla is going to suddenly hold up right at the last minute for this guy to see. And so they got it all planned out and ready. So this guy, he's coming, and he doesn't have that kind of sensory ability. He doesn't know the gorillas are ready and waiting for him. But this time, you know, like I said, he's not even going to use a guide. He's going to go over there and figure it all himself. But he gets whatever permit he needs. And like I said, this joke is fiction, so I don't know if you can really even hunt gorillas with a permit. Probably, my guess would be not. But, you know, in this joke, which is fiction, he is able to get the permits. So he goes over there, and he's just all on his own. He's nobody's his guide. He doesn't have a guide. Nobody's guiding him. He's walking through the jungle, and he's going to go after this gorilla. And they can sense him. They got it all ready. This bait gorilla is all set up. So he's going through the jungle with his knife, and he's going to get himself a gorilla, just almost completely barehanded, but with a knife, with his knife. So he goes up, and he sees the bait gorilla, and so he's kind of just pausing for me. He's like, "Am I ready for this?" You know, and he gathers his strength. He's pulls himself together, and he gets his courage, and he says, "Yeah, I'm ready to get this gorilla." So he's coming up to the gorilla, and he's ready to rush him and attack, and the other gorillas have circled around, and they're right behind him, and they're going to get him, and all the gorillas know what's going on, you know, and they know this guy is just, he's done for. He's as good as gone already. And just as the guy is getting ready to rush the bait gorilla with his knife, the bait gorilla holds up this sign for him to see, and it's the last thing he'll see. And it's just, he sees the sign right before they totally get him, and it's the end of him. But the sign says, grill you and cheese sandwich. So the whole joke is a play on words, but I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you very much. Have a great time.